Sounds like a winner. With
What
that-
took everybody so long?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lynn, what took everybody so long?
Right.
Yeah.
I have so much paperwork. I just don't have an agenda or the signing information. It's crazy.
Oh, God.
You know, John's been to my house 3 times this week, but I don't know what happened to that information. So I'm ready. I'm ready now, though.
Very good.
Thank you.
Let's call the meeting to order. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Present.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Blower,
Here.
Commissioner Jewell,
Here.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Here.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan,
Here.
Commissioner Wesley.
Here. We have a quorum. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to the Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Joanne Gurley, for the reading of the remote announcement of the Open Meetings Act. Attorney?
Good evening, everyone. All boards and commissions must adhere to all laws established under the Michigan compiled laws and in accordance with the revisions of the Open Meetings Act adopted in Senate Bill 1108 as passed on October the 13th of 2020 and signed into law on October 16th, 2020. A public announcement shall be made by each member who is attending the meeting remotely that he or she is attending the meeting remotely and, except for those in the military service, stating his or her physical location.
Commissioner Ryan,
Commissioner Ryan, attending remotely in the city of Flint.
Commissioner Campbell,
Commissioner Campbell attending the planning commission meeting remotely and from my residence.
Commissioner Blower,
This is Commissioner Blower. I'm attending remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jewell,
This is Commissioner Jewell. I'm attending the Planning Commission meeting remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Commissioner Cook Hawkins attending remotely here in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Commissioner Sorensen is here from Flint, Michigan. Thank you.
Commissioner Jordan,
Commissioner Jordan attending remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Wesley.
Commissioner Wesley attending remotely from Flint, Michigan. Thank you. Next, we have, are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Any additions or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
This is Commissioner Jordan. I would move approval of the agenda.
Commissioner Blower, support.
The moved and properly supported that the agenda be approved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, aye, okay. Next item on our agenda is the minutes. Well, I guess the opposers have the same rights and all that stuff. Next item on our agenda, the minutes of April 27, 2021.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Commissioner Jewell.
And I have an addition for page 10.
Page 10. Okay.
It's the last paragraph before new business. And the previous sentence stated that it reads, Commissioner Jordan stated that the previous representative for the I-475 committee, Brian Larkin, Chief of Staff for the City of Flint, recommended a representative from the Planning Commission to attend the I-475 meetings. as well as a designated staff member, as noted at the beginning. The addition sentence would be, Ms. Wilcox noted that she would follow up on the designation of a staff person to the I-475 committee. Ms. Wilcox noted that she would follow up on the designation of a staff person to the I-475 committee.
Okay. Is there anything else? Is there any other additions or changes to the minutes of April 27th, 2021? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of April 27th, 2021.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Commissioner Campbell, I would like approval of the minutes from April 27th, 2021 with corrections.
do I hear support?
Support.
Moved and properly, that was Commissioner Cook Hawkins
Yes.
with support, okay. So moved and properly supported that the minutes of April 27th be approved. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Ryan,
You muted, Commissioner Ryan?
Commissioner Ryan, you need to click *6 to unmute.
Okay,
okay.
let's come back to him. Yeah,
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blower,
Abstain due to my absence.
You hear me now?
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
okay.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
I will abstain due to the fact that I do not have that document in my hand.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley. Yes, the minutes of April 27th has been approved. Next item is a public forum. The public is invited to take part on anything appearing on our agenda this evening. If you're wishing to address the commission on some of the items that appears in the public hearing, you will have an opportunity to do that at that time. But any other thing that you wish to address the commission, you will have an opportunity to do so at this time. Is there anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone wishing to address the commission?
Commissioner, this is Joanne Gurley, Assistant City Attorney. I just wondered, was there revised minutes from the April 27th meeting pertaining to the minutes of April 13th? Did you all?
I have those.
April 13th minutes. I have. Attorney. Do we have a revised minutes?
Yeah, were there any corrections to that? That
April
meeting?
13th?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, this
Yes.
is Commissioner Jewell.
Yeah.
For the April 13th meeting minutes, when we met on April the 27th, yes, there were corrections made. Did we receive a copy of that revised, updated corrections? No, we did not.
No.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Does that help address your concern, Joanne?
It does. Thank you very much.
Are you recommending that that should be something we should be receiving?
I think as long as it's a notation made, by the staff, and those are corrected, that goes into the official file. I don't know why we had to send it all out to all the commissioners. We make the notations as we go along.
Ms. Chair, that is correct, and that's why on our minutes from our previous meeting, if you notice, it says draft on it.
Yeah.
So the document you received this evening for April 27th, it says draft meeting minutes. So, Bill, is the revised minutes that we correct noted as corrected in the files?
Commissioner Wesley to Commissioner Jewell, it's in the process, and once it's completed, that will be uploaded to the City of Flint's website.
Okay.
So the answer is currently no.
Okay. Attorney Gurley, if there is additional things that we need to be sensitive to, that may be something to be shared with Commissioner Wesley.
Yeah, we'll
Okay, thank you.
okay, we'll explore that. Is there anyone else in the public wish to address the commission? Anyone wishing to address the commission? Casey, is there anyone on the line?
For the phone numbers ending in 158-726 or Steve and Rob, if you'd like to click *6 to unmute, if you have any comments. Again, to unmute, it is *6.
Okay. Is there anyone in the commission, in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone wishing to address the commission? Seeing none, hearing none. That portion of the public forum is now closed. Next item on our agenda is the public hearing. The first item is PC 21401, Racer Trust requests a rezoning at the northeast corner of Hamilton Ave and North Street across from Lear Corps. Parcel number 4106326050 from C1 multifamily walk up to G heavy manufacturing. Is the applicant on the line?
Mr. Chair, before we begin the applicant,
We're not gonna hear from the applicant. I just want to make sure he's on the line before I turn it over to staff for the staff comment.
my apologies.
Right. Is the applicant on the line?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, to staff for their staff report regarding Racer Trust. Mr. Vandercook.
Commissioner Wesley, thank you. The staff findings for this is that, as I'm sure that the commissioners have read by now, of the property is owned by Racer Trust LLC, who applied on March 4th, 2021 for a rezoning of this parcel from C1 to G. When making determinations regarding rezoning property, the most important factors to consider is the proposed use of the property in the master plan. This parcel's proposed zoning classification is commerce and employment, which is a commercial and industrial designation. Approval of this zoning request would bring the parcel closer in line with the master plan. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
Thank you. To the applicant, tell us about your request.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Steve Black. I am transaction manager with Racer Trust. Tonight, as As was previously mentioned, we respectfully request your consideration for the rezoning of the 20-acre piece across the street from Lear at the corner of North and Hamilton. This property is inside the fence, if you will, of the historic Buick City property. And the bulk of the property that is inside the fence of Buick City is zoned heavy industrial, as is some property that Lear owns kitty corner across the street from this site. We respectfully suggest that the rezoning of this property to heavy industrial will undoubtedly maximize the opportunity to attract new jobs and investment to the city, as well as tax base to the city. Also, this is somewhat unique with Racer. Again, Racer, we're an environmental response trust that was formed out of General Motors bankruptcy. We're not part of General Motors, nor are we part of the government. We are have a very specific assignment by the bankruptcy court to clean up these properties and also sell these properties wherever possible for an economic development story for jobs, investment, and tax base in our communities. As part of our environmental mandate, as we've looked at this Buick City property and in working with the regulators, we have a deed restriction on this property that currently prohibits the use of the property for residential use. So the existing use, if you will, is not possible based on the deed restriction that runs with this property. And Racer will not sell property in this location for any kind of multifamily use. Again, following the settlement agreement that we are operating under from General Motors bankruptcy. So since that zoning is inconsistent with that reality, we respectfully request your consideration to rezone this property to heavy industrial, similar to the vast majority of the property at the former Buick City site. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Correct. Questions from the commissioners to the applicant?
This is Commissioner Ryan.
Commissioner Ryan?
The question I have, because of the Racer agreement, wasn't it that nothing could be built to disturb the soil? Am I correct or wrong?
That is not the case, Commissioner. We are actively working on remediating the entire site, and as properties are cleaned up, we are selling properties, and we're also selling properties that we're still working on cleaning up. And we've had a number of transactions, as you may be aware, with the Lear property, as well as the American Spiral Weld property on the north end of the site, were sold by Racer, and we, per the settlement agreement, still retain the responsibility for General Motors' legacy, environmental legacy at the site. And so in the case of both American Spiral Weld and Lear, we continue to have monitoring wells, and we continue to monitor those sites going forward.
So my question is, that land don't have to be capped. That is my question.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Commissioner Jewell.
Yeah, Mr. Black, I'm looking at the attachment that was submitted that has the parcel number listed 41-06-326-050, which is in a light gray color, and then surrounding it, which is I think the D category, is a darker color. You had used the term within the fenced-in complex. Does the fence run along North Street, fencing in that parcel that you're making reference to?
Yes.
Okay, and does it go all the way past Baker and further up north and then all the way down to Hamilton and then further south of Hamilton?
Yes, this property has a existing fence line all along the Hamilton Street frontage up on North Street.
Yeah.
It jogs around Oak Park. That's
Okay.
City Park, and then continues north along, eventually along Industrial.
Okay, because I had read the information you submitted, and I just wanted to double check on clarifying the fence, so that here's an unusual parcel code within a fence complex.
Correct.
Okay, thank you ever so much, Mr. Blair.
Well, thank you.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Commissioner Campbell, to Mr. Black. Did you just say that the fence runs from Hamilton all the way to what street?
Industrial.
We have,
But it's also runs on North Street. So how far down on North does it go?
this site, if I could answer it this way, this site is entirely within the fenced perimeter of the historic Buick City site. So all of the frontage of this property on North Street is fenced. All of the frontage on Hamilton Avenue is fenced, with a small exception being there's a small church, and that fence jogs around the church and continues on Hamilton all the way to James P. Cole.
Okay. But now on North Street, it goes all the way down. On North Street, there's a Union 599.
Correct.
Is that part of that? Or will that be now part of it? Or is it going to be going around 599?
Around the old Union Hall, you're right, there's a lot of fences there. Some of those parking lots were part of the bankruptcy settlement in the Racer Trust.
Okay.
So we have sold those properties to the, it's not the Union anymore, but I think it was the Don Williamson estate purchased those properties. So the Racer fence line does jog around that facility and continues north along Industrial.
Along Industrial, okay. And that ends at, what street does it end at? Stewart? Is that part of Racing Trust?
Yes, we go all the way to Stewart. Stewart is a public street, of course, that bisects our property, and our property continues north of Stewart all the way up to the American Spiral Weld Pipe facility. American Spiral Weld Pipe, they have purchased some property from Racer Trust, but what you see as you go over the Stewart Avenue Bridge, Andrew Street there, that fenced-in enclosure, we license on a temporary basis to American Spiral Weld for pipe storage.
Okay. And how much are we talking, the amount of footage, what's the amount of footage with this program, of this parcel? How many feet, does it say? It's going down to where?
It's approximately a 20-acre rectangle right situated on the corner of Hamilton and North.
Right.
Yeah, I know where it starts, and it's got to go far down.
It extends from Hamilton all the way to Oak Park as you're traveling along North Street, if that answers your question.
Oak Park, okay.
This is Commissioner Ryan. So if I understand you correctly, this can never be used for residential. This will only be commercial property for industry use?
That is correct. It is deed restricted, that we have a deed restriction that prohibits residential use.
Thank
Okay.
Uh,
Any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, I have. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Commissioner Sorensen here, please. Mr. Black, so what is your intent with the property? Are you gonna subdivide it and sell it? Are you gonna be the developer of it? Are you gonna build a suit? What is it exactly that you
Our
have?
mission, sorry, Commissioner, our mission is to clean up these properties and position them for sale. And so we are marketing this property. We have been marketing this property. This property is relatively clean compared to some of the other areas of the property. And frankly, it was after studying its research, or this site is a vast site. It's almost 1.5 miles long. And it came to our attention about a year ago when we started working with a prospect that its zoning was multifamily, and that was caught some of us off guard because the vast majority of the property here is heavy industrial, and that's what prompted us to get this addressed and corrected with you this evening.
So that is your intent. Are you an officer of racers, or are you just a representative, or what is your association with them?
I am an employee.
Okay. So they're trying to actually attract business to our community. The Racers is.
Absolutely. I mean, the project, across the street, Lear, that was our project. That's our mission.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was before my appointment to the board.
No
Okay,
problem.
I think that sums up my understanding. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other,
This is Commissioner Ryan.
hold on just a second. Okay, Commissioner Ryan, go ahead.
Is there any, because I think there is, waterways? Can you tell me what is the understanding of the agreement with how would the waterway be treated?
Can you clarify, Commissioner, what do you mean by the waterways?
Well, there's water, from my understanding, from Hamilton on back. Isn't there Flint River there? Or run into there?
The slope of the ground in that area, generally speaking, from about North Street, does slope towards the river. So as you drive that area or walk that area, you may note there is a little bit of grade that goes from this portion of Buick City and goes towards James P. Cole and eventually to the Flint River.
My concern was, if the property is to be sold, is there a plan or a condition set up for the proper drainage and if there's actually water, is there a plan in place for that?
I think it's I would suggest that I'll confess I'm a former recovering deputy city manager up here in Bay City before I joined Racer. Those are the kinds of things that are addressed in site plan review, and it is certainly the expectation of any development that they manage their stormwater on their site and not discharge it off onto their neighbors.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Black, please. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes, thank you. Just to further educate myself, because I am new to the board here, and certainly Lear was there prior to me. What is the agreement between Racers and Lear? Did they purchase? Do they have a 99-year lease? I don't know how that works in industry at all. So I'm just asking for my own education here.
Sure. The short answer is we sold them the property.
Okay. Okay. Not a bad deal. Thank you.
Commission. Any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
could Mr. Black state what his position is with? He just says, I'm employed by Racer Trust. Usually if someone is, I believe, speaking on behalf of the applicant, that they have to either have a letter of saying that's okay, or at least we have to have an attorney or architect or something. That's usually, unless this is just different protocol. But what is Mr. Black's title? He just said, I work for you.
well, I think he stated his title when he introduced himself at the beginning. Mr. Black, you want to go back through that again?
I thought
Sure.
he said Mr.
Sure, gladly. I am an employee of Racer Trust. My title is transaction manager, and I work on the management and marketing of the real estate in the Racer Trust portfolio across 14 states.
Okay.
Thank you. So
You're
if I
welcome.
was to call you, would I be able to call you on this line that's listed on our information?
What was your question, Commissioner Campbell?
Would I be able to get a hold of Mr. Black at Racer Trust on the
Yes.
information that we have in the application?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Yeah,
I'll be
anytime.
calling you. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
I'm trying to scan through. Yeah, you feel free to call my phone number. That's my cell. It goes to me directly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have some questions because that's my area, but I also have some questions from other neighbors. So that would be great if I could give them some answers. So thank you very much.
Well,
You're welcome.
Commissioner Campbell, if you have questions, ask them.
Well, not right this second. I need to talk with him first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Just one other question, just to Commissioner Ryan.
Mr.
Does
Ryan?
Racer own the property entirely, or is the City of Flint part owner?
Racer is the fee simple title owner.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission to the applicant? Okay, Mr. Black, thank you. Is
Thank
there
you.
anyone in the audience wish to address the commission in favor of PC 21401 Racer Trust request for a rezoning at northeast corner of Hamilton Ave and North Street across from Lear Corp, parcel number 4106326050, from C1 multifamily walk up to G heavy manufacturing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Casey, is there anyone on the line?
For the numbers ending in 158726, or Stephen Robb.
Gentlemen, we have people that aren't in favor on the line.
Well,
The
we
question
will
was,
get
are you in favor?
we will
And
get
so
to,
therefore we stayed quiet.
good. We will get to you. We will get to you in just a second.
All
I
right,
just
thank
want to
you.
make sure that someone who wanted to speak in favor was not muted and had an opportunity to unmute. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to oppose PC 21401 Racer Trust requests a rezoning at the northeast corner of Hamilton Ave and North Street across from Lear Corp, parcel number 4106326050, 326050 from C1 multifamily walk up to G heavy manufacturing. Anyone wishing to oppose?
Yes. My name is Alan Robb. I am counsel for the New Galilee Missionary Baptist Church, New Life Missionary Baptist Church on 931 East Hamilton. And we oppose the change. Our history with the surface water problems of the real estate that have been under the control of Racer Trust are such that they have negatively impacted our property, and we fear that changing the zoning will do nothing but give them the green light to further damage our property with the surface water problems. And so therefore, on behalf of New Missionary, I am going to object to this zoning change request.
Okay. Rejection.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
is that New Life or New Life? He said something else. Missionary.
New Life Missionary Baptist Church.
New
Thank
Life
you.
Missionary Baptist
Thank
Church.
you.
Is there anyone else wishing to oppose? To the Mr. Alan Robb, is there other individuals there?
We have Pastor Campbell, who is the pastor of New Life. He is here, yes, sir. And I was speaking on his behalf.
Okay.
New Life is the church that is across the street on Hamilton Street. It's been there since the mid-2000s, and it's across the street from the original Buick offices that were there, and it's been there for, golly, 15, 17 years.
Okay.
And it was a bank before.
All right. Is there anyone else wishing to oppose PC 21401? Anyone wishing to oppose PC 401 Racer Trust? Anyone else wishing to oppose? Okay. KZ, any other applicants on any other calls out there?
Just the normal numbers, the 158 ending, and then we have a Timothy Zimmer. And then we have, so the 158, if you'd like to speak, it is *6 to unmute. That's all.
Anyone else wishing to oppose? Anyone else wishing to oppose? That portion of the public hearing is now closed.
This is Commissioner Ryan. I would like to ask the question, a point of information. Have we received any contacts of anyone who wants to oppose it? Any letters?
Have received anything in writing?
Commissioner Leslie, the Commissioner Ryan, we have received no communications regarding this case, other than the attorney and pastor that's on the line.
All right, thank you.
What is the desire? What is the desire of the commission? Discussion.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Campbell, for discussion.
Yes.
This New Life Missionary Church, I think that used to be the old Citizens Bank.
Correct.
And, okay, if that was the old Citizens Bank, I'm trying to figure out what is the water problem? Because Old Citizens Bank was right next to the main headquarters across the street, but where people go into the gate. So I'm trying to figure out the water problem. What was that water problem, or what is it? Speaking to Mr. Pastor Campbell.
Well, Commissioner Campbell, I don't know. That's something that probably needs to go to maybe Racer Trust, because they're doing the mediation of that property. That might be something that, and I think Mr. Black alluded to, anyone that is willing to build on that property would have the responsibility or go through the process before anything could be built to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion from the commission? What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, I would like to approve PC 21-401 Racer Trust requesting a rezoning at the northeast corner of Hamilton Avenue and North Street, across from the Lear Corporation, parcel number 41-06-3286, -050 from C1 multiple family walk-ups to G heavy manufacturing.
Support.
Commissioner Campbell, would you like to set forth some findings?
You want, okay, the only, I guess I think, okay. When you said that they were still negotiating with the city and someone else, I figured that wasn't something we would need to write or need to say. But
Commissioner Campbell, this is Commissioner Jordan. I don't know if I might offer a couple of findings.
Okay.
As a addendum to your motion, but the findings would be that the proposed G designation is in keeping with the future land use of Commerce and Employment Center, and that the designation of G would also be in keeping with the existing zoning and the adjacent parcels.
I accept that. And it's also according to the master plan, right?
It's close in line, better in line with the master plan.
Yes.
Okay.
I accept that.
Okay. Do I hear support for the motion?
Support, Commissioner Ryan.
So moved and properly supported. Any discussion?
This is Commissioner Jordan. I want to thank the representatives from New Life Missionary Church here for coming this evening. And I certainly, as a resident, I care a lot myself about water and clean water. And so I very much appreciate the points that you've raised this evening. In terms of the question that's before us tonight, it really is around the zoning of the land, which is separate and apart from any obligations that the current landowner has in terms of, addressing any issues that there might be around water. So very much appreciate you being here this evening.
Okay. Any other further discussion? And I think that my comment here is, as far as the clean water is concerned, that parcel, before anything is built on it, would have to come back before the commission, the planning commission, and that'd be one of the areas that we will make sure we explore extensively concerning the clean water here.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
That's the reason I asked the question. It has to come back.
Yes. Any other discussion? Hear none. Roll for approval of PC 21401 Racer Trust request for a rezoning at the northeast corner of Hamilton Ave and North Street across from Lear Corp. Parcel number PID, parcel number ID 4106326050 from C1 multifamily walk-up to G heavy manufacturing. I think finding has been set forth, which is part of the record. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes, with stipulations.
Commissioner Blower,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, for approval.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. To the applicant, your request for approval will be now set forth to City Council. I think that goes to City Council. I'm right. Okay.
Thank
Next
you
item.
very much.
Thank you. Next item is PC 21399 QPS Michigan Holding LLC requests a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 4107134030 and 4107134031. This is a continuation from our April 13th meeting. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay. State your name, please.
My name is Encore Rumta, and I'm here on behalf of QPS Michigan Holdings LLC. I also have Tim Zimmer from Livingston Engineer, who is our civil engineer on the project as well.
Good evening.
Okay, Mr. Ronco. This is a continuation of our meeting of April 13th. I think there were some things that, was it to join these properties?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get to you, Mr. Vandercook, please update the commission on the continuation.
Yes. Regarding PC 21399, the applicant appears to have provided all the requested materials and their application is complete. This parcel complies with the locational standards for recreational marijuana. The applicant initially presented the application during the April 13th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission voted to continue the case at a date to be determined by the applicant and planning staff pending the submission of the parcel combination application and site plan. The parcel combination application and site plan have both been submitted by the applicant. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any additional information from the applicant to the commission?
No additional information, Mr. Chair. As Bill mentioned, we did submit the lot combination form and all the associated materials and the fee for that to the assessor's office. So that part has now been completed.
Are there questions from the commission to the applicant? Questions from the commission to the applicant? Hearing none. What is the desire of the commission for PC 21399? QPS Michigan Holdings LLC request for a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 4107-134-030 and 4107-134-031.
Chairman Wesley, this is Commissioner Jordan.
Yes, Commissioner Jordan.
Seeing that the reason that this was postponed last time was waiting for the parcel combination application, and we are in receipt of that, and that we've already taken the public testimony at our previous meeting, I would move approval of PC 21-399 QPS Michigan Holdings LLC requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for medical marijuana facility at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 4107-134-030 and 4107-134-031.
Do I hear
Commissioner Blower, support.
It's been moved and properly supported that PC 21399 QPS Michigan Holdings LLC request for a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at Merrill and Wood Street be approved. Any discussion? Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blower,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes for approval.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. To the applicant, your request has been approved. Next one is PC 21-400 QPS Michigan Holding LLC request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 4107-134-030 and 4107-134-031. This is also a continuation from my April 13th meeting. Mr. Vandercook, staff update on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Wesley. Regarding PC 21-400, the applicant appears to have provided all requested materials and their application is complete. This parcel complies with the locational standards for adult use recreational marijuana. The applicant initially presented the application during the April 13th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission Board continued the case at a date to be determined by the applicant. And the planning staff pending the submission of the parcel combination application and site plan. The parcel combination application and site plan have both been submitted.
Thank you,
Commissioner West.
Thank you. To the applicant, any additions or for your requests on PC 21-400?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing new to add other than, again, we did submit that lot combination form as was required of us.
Okay. And this matter, we also had a public hearing on this matter. Just for the sake of consistency, Casey, is there anyone on the line for this application, for this request?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Mr. Jewell?
Mr. Chair, I understand your concern for consistency. However, on our April 13th meeting, We did open it to the
Open
public
up. Yeah,
for both pros and cons, and then it was closed. We then
Correct.
moved to the discussion.
correct. So,
I do agree with you on the concern for consistency, and I think as you had asked of the applicant if there was any additional information, and they stated there was none. You did ask regarding 399 if there was any additional questions from the fellow commissioners.
right. So to the commission for further discussion, questions? Hearing none, what is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Commissioner Campbell, I would like to put the recommendation forth that we approve TC 21-400 QPS Michigan Holding LLC, which is requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 41-134-030 and 41-07-134-031 with a note continuation from April 13th, 2021 meeting.
is there support?
Support, Commissioner Ryan.
It's been moved and properly supported. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blower,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes for approval.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. Your request has been approved. To that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to that new bill.
Yeah. Three.
We have a site plan review
Listen.
for SPR
Same site.
1948 QPS is requesting a site plan review at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 4107, 134030, and 4107, 134031. To the applicant. Well, not before I get to the applicant. Mr. Vandercook, give us background on this site plan review.
Thank you. Regarding the staff report and the case history, this applicant previously came before the Planning Commission on April 13th, 2021. The Planning Commission voted to postpone the case for continuation once the site plans and parcel combination application were submitted. The applicant has submitted the parcel combination and application and site plans to the City of Flint. Just so that the commissioners are aware, they all should have received a site plan for QPS dated September 11th, 2020, with the landscaping and lighting noted on page C3. There's additionally, the exterior of the building was noted on the last page. Then today, all of the commissioners should have received a floor plan and security plan, a supplemental document to the site plan dated September 11th, 2020. That site plan was also revised on May the 5th of 2020, just so that you're aware. The Commission may wish to ask the applicant to clarify the lighting and security cameras on the outside of the building and propose description of lighting and landscaping on the overall plan. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
Thank you. to the applicant. Tell us about the site plan. It was,
Sure. I will start by describing it at a high level, and then if that's okay, I will turn it over to Tim Zimmer from Livingston Engineering to talk about it in a more granular level. What we're proposing is a new building on this site of approximately 3,300 square feet, as well as an associated parking lot with approximately 39 total parking spaces. We have provided a preliminary site plan for review, as well as an interior floor plan that shows the interior layout of the space, which I would be more than happy to walk you through the layout and flow of the interior operations. But maybe, Tim, if you could speak more specifically to the site plan, that would be helpful.
For sure. Thanks. So as was mentioned, it's 3,300 square feet roughly. The plan includes paving of Merrill Street to city standards along the southerly border, and which opens into a parking lot to the north from Merrill Street, with traffic circulation in both directions, north and south through the parking lot. With a driveway on Wood Street and a driveway out to Merrill Street. There's a delivery area on the southerly west end of Merrill Street, where company deliveries will come and go. Parking lot in the front with a drainage system that will collect in the stormwater management area along the James P. Cole Boulevard frontage. That would be both stormwater volume and water quality components, and connecting to the existing city system after flooded, attenuation of any stormwater peak periods. Landscaping includes canopy trees along the frontages of Wood and Merrill Street, sod and grass in the green space areas, concrete sidewalks accessing the building with proper ADA ramping for the appropriate barrier-free parking space, and a proposed pole sign along the frontage of James P. Cole. I think that about covers everything. I certainly am available to speak in detail on any of your questions. Thank you.
okay, questions from the commission to the applicant? Questions? It was mentioned in the staff report concerning the lighting on the buildings. Could you point those out for us on the plan?
The plan itself does not, well, the plan is to include a couple of light poles on the east side of the parking lot, and then along the building, the intention was and is noted as some on sheet one.
Sheet one?
Yes. Excuse me. I might have misquoted myself here. Sorry, it's site plan notes in the lower right-hand corner of sheet 3. Building mounted site lighting will consist of 4 recessed can lights mounted on the underside of the entrance canopy. And then it gives a fixture and mounting height in site plan note number 2. And that's, so it would be a underside of the canopy on the front of the building, which you can look at on sheet 4 of the plans. That canopy that wraps the building, that is on the front and the side of the building.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Jewell.
I'd like to go in a similar direction that you raised regards to lighting on the building, but I'd like to go back to Mr. I'm going to mispronounce your name, sir, so please help me. Rutka?
Yeah, Rungta, exactly.
Runta. Okay, I have this Bostonian accent where we put R's in the wrong places, like at the vowel, so my apologies.
No problem.
First, I need you to clarify where you said you presented a preliminary site plan. What did you mean by preliminary site plan? Is this not the site plan?
No, I apologize. Maybe that's the wrong word to use. I simply meant if there are comments from the Planning Commission, we can incorporate them as needed. But no, this is a full site plan that we presented that we're hoping to move forward with.
Okay. Mr. Chair, again, this is Commissioner Jewell. I guess I'll go back to the building itself. I'm looking at C3, and I'm looking at the elevations, and I'm looking at item number 2 on site plan where it says building mounted site lighting. But on the building itself, I can't find where those lights are, nor can I find any description or visual of what the lights are going to look like, including the lighting for supposedly the ones on the poles. Can that be clarified?
Well, the can light, the recessed lighting on the underside of the canopy would be the appearance that you really wouldn't see them. They're like they sound like, and I'm sure you are familiar with a recessed can light.
Okay, Mr. Zimmer, I need your help.
Yes.
I'm looking at your submitted site plan. Okay.
Yes.
And yes, you made a notation of the lighting's mounted, but I don't see anything. And I don't see any description of what those actual lights are going to be.
Understood. And I can't say that beyond what's shown there that there's any detail, any more detail than what you see there.
Okay, would that be true also for the lighting poles that are noted in the parking lot?
That is correct. The intent would be a 20-foot high shielded LED light.
Okay, and I understand that, but again, there is no visual of what that pole light looks like or what the lamp or light is going to look like. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. If we go back to the building, and I'm looking at the additional submitted items for the interior, my fancy little items here, where I notice where it says for floor plan security, there are cameras noted throughout the interior of the building. But I'm trying to look on the outside of the building regarding security cameras.
Commissioner, I can speak to that. If you have the diagram, we're showing one camera on each of the exterior 4 walls. If you see in the security diagram, there's a camera symbol shown sort of at each corner of the building on the exterior.
Okay, I'm looking at C3.
Sorry, this is on the, there was an interior floor plan that was provided with a security overlay that shows all of the locations of the security equipment with the legend. That's the plan that actually shows the camera locations. Those
Okay.
cameras are not on the civil drawings, unfortunately.
Okay, so for the floor plan where it says security, I'm seeing 4 in each corner, 1 back by the exit and so forth. But I was making reference to the site plan itself and the building as a whole. So that was one concern. The other concern or questions that I had for clarification was I did note that on C3, you did make a description on the site plans regarding landscaping. And then on the front page, and correct me if I'm wrong, under the legend, it has a notation of the tree. And then I'm looking at C3, and I see round circles for the trees, and then I see foundation landscaping beds. And then I'm seeing the landscaping legend where the bed, the shrubs, and is the grass, the white squares. And my reason for asking these questions is in our review of previous site plans, there has been usually a page that outlines lighting with the description of where they're located, what the lights look like, etc. And then there's been a traditional separate page regarding landscaping, where it talks about where those particular items are, and then a more visual aspect. Because Mr. Zimmer, Mr. Rankine, I'm using my magnifying glass here to make sure I can see everything.
Sure. No, and Commissioner, our apologies if there should have been more detail on those items. I think we're happy to provide more detail if that's needed on these topics. We have been working with staff, since we submitted this last September to try to prepare for these meetings. So I don't believe we received any specific staff comments on those points. But again, we're more than happy to provide additional detail. I just don't think we realized that it was required for this particular stage.
Oh, okay, and then just a couple of other items, and these are just inquiry questions. I'm looking at the last page of the big one, okay, which has the elevations, and it kind of looks, yeah.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Are you looking at C4 now?
No, I'm just looking at the after C3. There is no
last page, okay.
The last page, there's no C4 or anything on it.
Right, it's got north building elevations and south building elevations?
Correct, okay. And Mr. Zimmer, Mr. Rancock, I appreciate the elevations, the views and so forth, but I'm trying to get a visual of what is the building actually going to look like visually when it's done, i.e. a rendering or so forth. Does that make sense?
Sure. Again, we're more than happy to prepare something like that if it's needed. We honestly don't have it ready now, but we would have to have, I think, someone on our architecture team put something like that together if it's needed. Unfortunately, we weren't aware of that need ahead of time.
Well, Mr. Ranka, I'm a little bit confused, okay? Because you did an excellent job two meetings ago when I asked you to walk me through and you gave some visuals and so forth. And the purpose of the site plan, if we approve this, we're giving approval of what's going to be built, how it's going to look, and so forth. And when you just shared with me just a few moments ago saying, well, we haven't really finalized that yet, are you saying to me you haven't finalized your site plan?
No, I think I understood your request as being some sort of a more artistic rendering of the building, and that specifically we have not prepared because we didn't understand it to be part of the site plan requirements, but it absolutely can be prepared if it's needed. And all I was saying prior to that is that I have, we did submit this back in September originally, and we have been working with the staff, the team, Bill and Keezy, to try to understand if there are gaps in these materials, if there were comments from staff or additional pieces of information or further detail that was needed. And so we're doing our best to try to make sure we're providing all the needed information.
I understand that, Mr. Rutka, but you're a business person. You want to put a facility in. You want to build a physical plant in operation, plus the surrounding areas. So you must have some kind of concept of how you want that to look, how it's going to operate, the specifics of what needs to be done. And even if you were looking at this last September, I would be under the assumption, and if it's a false assumption, I apologize, of coming and saying, this is what it's going to look like, this is how it's going to operate, these are the physical arrangements and so forth. Because the sense I'm getting now, and if I'm getting the wrong sense, my sincere apologies, is you're sharing is how are you going to tell the builder what it is that you want them to build?
Yeah, Commissioner, just to respond to that, we have done many projects like this around the state, and we've gone through many site plan processes. Every municipality in our experience has a slightly different set of requirements around what is required at the site plan approval stage. And so what we're used to doing is preparing a full set of drawings like we did, submitting them, and then receiving feedback from city staff if there are items that are missing. And so we're fully prepared for this. I think we provided a pretty full set of operational plans and our interior layouts and all of that. If there's a little bit of additional detail needed on, for example, a specific landscaping plan that's more detailed or a larger format, if there's more information needed on the light fixtures on the exterior of the building, those are items that we have ready and can provide. We just need to receive the feedback and have a chance to quickly react to it. The rendering as well, we can provide that. I think I mentioned in the last meeting, we have 5 stores that are open around the state and many additional ones in construction. So certainly we can provide a rendering of this site as well as pictures of our other locations to give you a sense for what it looks like. So it's not my intention to come in here and be unprepared. That's not our approach, but it is a bit challenging to predict everything that might be requested. And so that's simply all I was saying. But as far as our level of preparation, I'm not sure that, I think we're well suited for what we're proposing here.
Well, and I appreciate that. I operate, as my colleagues know, I operate on the basis that if my neighbors or other people ask me, okay, this facility is going in, do they meet all the criteria? What is it going to look like? Do they have this accomplished, et cetera, et cetera? It's part of our role to approve that final, I'll use the term, the product, the facility, correct? And so I just want to make sure that we are all working together as a team to accomplish that. So you're sharing with us that those particular items that I'm raising or that others raise can be provided and can be updated. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Now, just for discussion, since we're in discussion period, okay, what kind of time frame do you see that you could complete that?
I'd probably want to talk to Tim offline, but I think within a matter of a few days, in terms of the landscaping plan and the lighting plan, it's not a huge amount of work. So it's just some more detail and a separate drawing for each of those. And similar on the rendering, I would just need someone to put together, as I said, a more kind of aesthetic or kind of, that type
So-
of view on the site.
So if you were to, after our discussion, whatever the outcome of the discussion is, okay, and follow-up discussion with staff, would you say it'd be realistic that within 2 weeks or in 4 weeks, you'd be able to come back with an update?
I think we could come back, far more quickly than that if it's required. I'm not sure, if there's for example, if we need to come in front of this body again, I mean, we would look to turn it around very quickly because we are eager to get this project going, just given the time that it's taken us to get to this point.
Okay, Commissioner Jewell, Commissioner
Yes,
Jewell,
sure.
let's
Okay.
let me interject right here to the applicant. A rendering of what this building would look like. Give me a picture. If it's you got like 5 other facilities around. If this facility will look like those facilities, you have a model. So what would that model look like? I think that this model at this location will look like this, and then along with the lighting plan and the lighting plan and the landscape plan, I think a great turnaround. That might be something we can look at administratively. Wouldn't have to come back before this body, take up time on this agenda for that. So if that could happen, I think we can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We can provide that additional information very quickly.
Okay, so Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And Mr. Rutka, but this is part of our discussion, so we can work together as a team to review that stuff. So if we do an administrative review with X, Y, and Z to be addressed and followed up, and maybe with the chair double checking to make sure those items are addressed, is that acceptable to you, Mr. Rucker?
Absolutely, yeah. I think if you're comfortable with staff reviewing those items, I think that would be certainly efficient and keep this project moving. Like I said, we are eager to begin working on permits and construction. So if that's comfortable for the commission, that would be great from our side.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rucker, I will share with you, okay, for your information, because it is public information, that historically we have done those kind of approaches where we've given an administrative approval with certain conditions that would then be administratively reviewed and updated. However, there has been a number of experiences, particularly most recently, that a number of entities and applicants have said yes, and months have gone by where they have not followed up on.
Yeah, I think maybe
Do you
Casey and Bill could speak to our desire to keep this process moving. I mean, I think we've been pushing quite hard on our end to try to get in front of this body and get into construction. Again, it's been almost 9 months since we submitted the initial package here, so I can certainly be very confident that we will resubmit this quickly, because again, candidly, Commissioner, I've got a seller of this property who's losing patience with our process here that we're going through. So I am eager to move this along.
And Mr. Rucker, I'm in agreement with you, okay? I'm not in disagreement, okay? But each of us have a role and responsibility and an obligation. And my reason for sharing that with you, when we get to the determination process, because we're just in discussion, and I'm going to be finishing my discussion, but I just want to make it clear that the response you just gave me or gave us is very similar to the responses other applicants have given. That they too wanted to move forward. They too wanted to do X, Y, and Z. All right. So I just share that for awareness. I want to thank you ever so much for your follow-up on my questions and inquiries. So, Mr. Chair, I think that addresses the concerns that I had.
Very well. Is there any other concerns or discussion for this applicant?
This is Commissioner Jordan. I don't have any additional concerns. I just wanted to note, because I'm somebody who I like to be able to look at the checklist and make sure that whatever we're asking them to do, I can tie to the checklist. So on a site plan checklist, I know that number 26 deals with the lighting. And so if we are looking at potential administrative review, I think the standard that I would believe was fair was to make sure that it satisfied, in the case of lighting, what's listed there, which is the location and detail of site lighting, including location, type, and height of existing and proposed exterior lighting. Similarly, looking at the checklist at the guidepost, number 35 is the one that deals with landscaping. And the way it's phrased here is detailed planting plan and schedule of plant materials, including an inventory of existing and proposed vegetation on the site. You know, trying to look at what's being kind of dubbed a rendering. Maybe my colleagues can help me. I haven't found on here where it mentions a requirement of a rendering. It does have a requirement for number 14 around the front, rear, and side elevations of proposed buildings, which I think we've got in our packet. So I don't know if anybody has a, if there's maybe an area that I haven't found yet, but I certainly could see reference of those two in terms of lighting and landscaping.
And I don't know if we have one on says rendering. I think just most folks, most applicants, when they come before us, they have a picture of how that building will look physically there. So, you know, the applicant might have been perfectly correct when he says he didn't see where it says rendering, but we usually get a picture of what that facility will be looking like.
And I'm happy to put one together, even if it's not specifically on the checklist. So that's not a problem.
Yeah. A snapshot. Okay. What is the things that Commissioner Jordan and Commissioner Bill have pointed out has been noted for possibly administrative review. So what is the desire of the commission concerning this site plan?
Commissioner Ryan, I just have a question for my constituents. Usually when we do not see the illustrations, our job, I thought, was to make sure that they're there. Now, I do see new processes going through where we're putting them on this administrative review. My question is, do y'all think that when the visual and the landscape is not there, that should be up under that? That's my question. And that's to all my constituents. Because I know we have more than once demanded that we see it.
When you say
on the paper. So this is not to him, this is just to the commissioner.
So Commissioner Ryan, this is Commissioner Jordan. And you're right that we have at times addressed things through administrative review, and at other times we have asked to see things ourselves. I think particularly if there was an area of concern where we wanted to see something verified and validated. I know on our case reviews right now, we've got 3 existing instances where something was given conditional approval with administrative review based on a site plan. And to my understanding, absent some other expressed level of concern with this particular proposed site plan, I think, you know, getting a landscape plan or the lighting detail would be something that could probably be addressed through administrative review. But if you've got additional concerns or whatnot, then I'm certainly open to, you know, wanting to understand that and make sure that it's addressed.
Okay, thank you.
okay. What is the desire of the commission? Okay, what, everybody is silent on this one. I think it's something that can't be dealt with.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. My intent of raising the questions was based on partially, we have seen a variety of site plans over a series of meetings. Some have been consistent, some haven't, and so forth. I think there is a need for a separate side discussion regarding what is an appropriate site plan and how to make sure those items are addressed. The second concern that I had in raising these items is making sure that the applicant would be able to provide us information for us collectively as a team to work forward, to move forward. And third is, yes, we have done approval for administrative review based on certain conditions needing to be met. And I don't have a difficulty in moving forward for an administrative review with certain conditions to be met. But as we're all aware, we have 3 cases before us that we've done that over the past several months or a few months, and nothing has been followed up on. And we have had other discussions of either setting a time frame on those conditions being met. And this is where our attorney can step in or staff can step in. And if those conditions aren't met, what then are the consequences? Do they have to reapply, et cetera? So I'm kind of torn. I mean, I'm comfortable with moving forward with a motion and itemizing conditions for us to follow up, but I'm concerned about enforcement.
I think if we put a time frame on and the applicant agrees with that time frame, then we will, as far as consequences are concerned, you know, he goes at that nothing can be done until this thing has been approved. So he can't build, he can't do anything until that those conditions are met.
Okay.
So it's up to him if he puts a time frame on it and he's not able to meet that time frame, then nothing gets done. He can't start building.
Right. To Bill, our staff, and to our attorney, can you provide us some additional insight as to parameters?
Bill, did you want to begin?
Yeah, the code says that once the site plan is approved, he's got 90 days for the next step. So I didn't have time to research this before the commission meeting, but if he has site plan approval, he has 90 days to commence basically with site plan approval. So a conditional approval with a time frame like of 90 days. He would have to start his next steps within 90 days, basically, and that's following through that information. So,
well, I interpret that as the ordinance says the applicant has 90 days to commence activity after approval. So
I believe that's what I meant, Commissioner Jewell.
Correct, but so if we give approval for a conditional for administrative review, okay, with conditions, that approval doesn't go into effect until all those conditions are met. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Which then means they then have 90 days from that point on to begin. So they could not meet the conditions for 90 days, then meet the conditions, and then have 90 days to begin.
So this is Commissioner Jordan, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I seem to recall that when Attorney Kelly Thompson was with us, that there was some discussion around that. And one of the suggestions at that point was that if the commission wanted to put a time frame around when a conditional approval would be satisfied, that that be made part of the motion. I don't know if there's further.
And if we do set a time frame, okay, that the applicant agrees to, and if that time frame is not met, what then are the consequences? Does that mean they have to reapply for a new site plan? I'm turning to attorney for that.
Attorney.
Commissioner Jewell, I will have to look into that. I don't have an immediate answer for you currently, but I will look into that and provide an answer for you.
Okay, but you do understand our concerns.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Commissioner Wesley, if you don't mind, if there's a condition that's provided and the commission agrees to that condition's only should be good for the time period that it's given, and then it would expire.
Then if that, and I guess the question is, when that condition expires, what's the next step? I think that
I believe the applicant would have to reapply.
So if the commissioners vote to have this piece administratively approved with conditions, and the applicant agrees to those conditions and that time frame, and if he does not meet those conditions within that time frame, then the next step would be that applicant have to reapply? Is that what you're saying? I
believe that would be the case, Commissioner Wesley, and I believe the discussion that Kelly had with us is that the commission could put a condition of the amount of time on it.
Mr. Chair, I know our applicant is listening to our conversation.
Yeah, I know he is too. So,
and I want to share with the applicant, we are discussing these processes for a sense of continuity for us. And I hope you understand that, so that we're being, as my phrase is, clear, concise, and consistent, and so forth.
Yeah,
so Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Rutger.
Yeah, no, I totally understand the desire to be consistent. And again, from our standpoint, I would have no issue with you placing a time frame on these conditions, because it would be our intention to turn them around quickly. And so if there was risk that our approval would lapse if we didn't submit the additional information quickly, I would have no problem with that from our standpoint.
Since we have you online, and if it's all right, Mr. Chair, if we could make an inquiry to the applicant of what time frame that they would be comfortable with.
I think, again, if it's the matter of the landscaping plan, the lighting plan, and the rendering, I think we could get you those next week. But perhaps if we put a 2-week or a 4-week time frame on it, if we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a cushion. But my intention would be to get it back to you very quickly, because I am under a fair amount of time pressure on my side.
Well, that's why we want to work as a team, okay, to meet our criteria, but also to be of support to you. So are you saying that a 4-week period is acceptable?
Yes.
And if you get it to us before that time, and it could be administratively approved, we can turn that around in less than that 4-week period of time. That's my take on it.
Great,
Get
yeah,
this done as
my
quickly.
plan, Mr. Chair, would be to try to get it in as quickly as Tim and his colleagues can work on it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very well. What is the desire of the commission? We look like I know we got at least 4 weeks out there. If you get it done prior to that, it can be administratively approved. But 4 weeks, we have to go to the first meeting in June.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I think if we make it for administrative review with X number of conditions to be met and to be met by the date in 4 weeks, it doesn't necessarily have to come back to our meeting because that can be done administratively with your consultation if you want.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wesley, just one more point of information, if you don't mind. The ordinance does allow, prior to the expiration of approval, for an applicant to come back. If he knows he can't meet the deadline, that applicant can come back before the commission and request an extension. So I'd just like the commission to be aware of that.
Yeah. If he figured he could not bring it back within 4 weeks, he could, prior to that 4-week deadline, he can come back and ask for an extension on those 4 weeks.
Okay, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Said I kind of raised a number of the issues and Commissioner Jordan clarified a number and Mr. Ryan raised, I think Mr. Ryan raised a couple of concerns and so forth. I'm willing to make a motion to move us forward if that's all right. I'm willing to make a motion to approve for administrative review SPR 21-948 QPS requests for site plan review at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street with the combined parcels of 41-07-134-030 and 41-7-134-031 with the following conditions. And to staff, it's my understanding that the reason there is no address, it says Merrill Street and Wood Street, is because there is no address. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Soon to be added.
Soon to be, once the property is combined, it will be known as 1809 James P. Cole, but there's not an address to date.
Okay, all right. All right, so that's my motion for approval, and here are the conditions. Updated exterior lighting and landscaping. Let me verify that. Updated in exterior detailed lighting and landscaping as noted in the checklist, which is, I think, item number, Commissioner Jordan, help me out with this one.
26 and 35.
26 and 35. And so we got exterior lighting, landscaping, and would be appropriate for us to, Mr. Chair, request a rendering, an exterior.
If you would like, it's not requested in the checklist, but just a picture of a snapshot of what the building would look like.
An
when it's physically built.
exterior rendering of the building. Is there anything else from the other commissioners that we might have overlooked? From staff? To the applicant, is that something you're comfortable with?
Yes, that seems fine. Thank you.
Okay. And as part of the motion, with the conditions to be reviewed in consultation with the chair. And I think we said, what, 4 weeks? So we're talking June 8th? Is that 4 weeks? 1, 2, 3. No, it'll be June 15th.
Is that a meeting date?
Well, I'm just picking 4 weeks from today.
When will be our meeting in June?
Yeah, by June.
What's our
Would
first meeting in June?
Is that correct, staff? 4 weeks?
Wait a minute.
1, 2,
Our,
8.
Mr. Chair, the first meeting in June is June the 8th. That's
Make it June 8th.
June 8th. That's 4 weeks. My apologies.
Wow. That's fine.
And to the applicant, is that a reasonable criteria?
Yes, I think we should be able to provide all those items without any issues.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the understanding prior to that date, if you need an extension, you can contact staff for an extension on that.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, let me just review. I'm making a motion to approve PR 21-948 as previously read for administrative review with the following conditions: updated exterior lighting and landscaping, reference to items number 26 and 35, and an exterior rendering of the building to be reviewed in consultation with the chair by June the 8th.
That is correct.
Okay.
We didn't say the 15th. We said the 8th.
The 8th. June 8th.
June 8th.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Do we have a support for the motion?
Support.
Moved and properly supported. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, this is the Commissioner Campbell. Is that administrative review with the staff and you?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Here, we call for the roll for SPR 21948 QPS is requesting a site plan review for Merrill Street and Eastwood Street, PID 4107, 134, 030, and 4107, 134, 031 for approval, for conditional approval to be reviewed administratively for those items which has been outlined in the motion. Lighting, landscaping, and a rendering of the building.
And in consultation with you as the chair by June the 8th.
By June 8th. But with the understanding that the applicant can ask for an extension if he so desire prior to that June 8th deadline. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blower,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. To the applicant, your site plan has been conditionally approved pending the administrative review prior to June 8th, or June 8th. Yeah.
And to Mr. Riker, this is Commissioner Jewell. Thank you for your listening ear and your understanding.
Absolutely. Thank you all to the commission members. And I will show you that we are serious about doing this quickly. So we will turn around these additional items to staff very fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next item is case review. SPR 2941 Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village is requesting a site plan review at 4119 North Saginaw Street, PID 4636428059. Mr. Vandercook on the case review.
Commissioner Wesley, regarding SPR 2941 Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village, there's no report.
Wow.
All right. Next item is SPR. What was the desire of the commission? That could be placed on our next agenda.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. It's my understanding from our previous discussions that these case reviews would stay on our agenda until staff informs us that those items have been fulfilled.
Okay. To the next one is SPR 214945, Community First. Glenn Wilson's requesting a site plan review at 2765 Flushing Road, PID 4011351001. Mr. Vandercook.
Commissioner Wesley, regarding SPR 21945 Communities First, no report.
That will stay on the agenda. Next is SPR 21946, Surcan Incorporated requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Dort Highway, Flint, PID 4120-278030-001. Savannah Cook, as far as Surcan is concerned.
Commissioner Wesley, regarding SPR 21946, Secure Can Inc. I have not had any communication with Attorney Brenda Williams, but I have been in contact with Burton Brown. Burton Brown's been working with the city attorney and the city engineer, Mark Adis, and the Lieutenant Michael Cochran with the fire department to make sure that he's getting the correct documentation on a site plan to come back to the Planning Commission. So he is working with the different divisions to ensure that he gets the correct information on the site plan for review.
Okay. That'll continue on the case review sheet. On the case reviews on our agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, how long by law, meaning the law of the commission, how long will these different businesses have? Is it a year that they have to come back, that they can stay on like what we're doing now, just no report, no report, no report, and they can do that for a year? Or is there a time limit before a year? I can't remember. I thought at first it was 90 days, so evidently not. So can someone clear that for me?
I think it is a year.
Okay. Okay.
I think.
Commissioner Weslock to confirm that
Yeah.
is 1 year.
Right.
Okay.
He needs to.
Okay.
go through.
I thought it was easy. That's a long time.
Yeah. Next is reports. Status of the permanent marijuana ordinance. Attorney Joanne Gurley.
Commissioner, it is under review. We're just trying to come up with the concise and clear protocols and making sure that we have everything in place internally. That's the end of the report. Thank you.
Okay.
I like that. Short and to the point.
All right. What about the status of marijuana marijuana regulated review?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
are you moving on to revenues or?
Now moving on to status of marijuana related review.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Wesley,
Yeah.
do you mind regarding the status of permanent marijuana ordinance? Just for an informational piece, there were applications for Group B, Group F, and Group G sent out to the commissioners with checklists. And then there was an updated bio, John's bio with contact information set out for the commissioners in that package. So I think that needs to be noted there.
Under the permanent, right. We got those, did everyone get their special regulated use permit license application? Group F, marijuana facilities. Group G, marijuana facilities.
There were 3 of them?
Yep, and Group E, marijuana facilities, along with the update of Jonathan Mateen, Planner 1 information. You still
Mr.
got
Chair.
that?
Well, I received it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, everybody should have got that in their packet.
Mr. Chair, I received mine today. So if commissioners do not have it, again, I received that information today, Commissioner Campbell. So if you was probably anyone that was at work today and have not been home, it's a possibility they may not have that.
Bill, this is Commissioner Jewell. Is that the information you were referring to earlier that was delivered today?
That's correct.
Yes.
Information, those 3 items were delivered today. Applications, checklist, and updated bio.
Yep.
Okay, but the bio, that goes later under staff update, correct?
I'm sorry, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, what about the status of the draft zoning ordinance?
Mr. Chair, the related revenues?
Related revenues.
Status of marijuana related revenue by Suzanne Wilcox.
This is Commissioner Jordan. So I know that from the minutes that we approved at the start of the meeting, Suzanne had provided some information about the revenues related to the marijuana fees being restricted for use in covering the city's processing costs related to those marijuana applications. I don't know if there's additional information beyond that that is available. I guess if so, this would be the time that could be shared.
Commissioner Jordan, this is Suzanne. I'm sorry I was muted. I don't have any additional information beyond that. The status of the revenues, we have received the $84,000. It is set up in an account right now, and we are working through, and Joanne and I think the finance department probably need to discuss exactly how that will be used. I did have a conversation earlier with the mayor about, and I shared that at the last meeting, that would be made available for staffing costs. that is still under discussion, and I'm scheduling some time with the finance department. I'll involve Joanne in that too, just to make sure that everybody understands the restrictions on the use of those funds. And then if it is to be allocated for processing or staffing, then we need to do, I learned today, another resolution to move those monies. They were put into an account for when they were accepted. They were just accepted into a general revenue real estate account. So we will need to move it into a marijuana account. And that is something, after we have discussions with finance and law, that we will move forward on.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else for that? Status of the draft zoning and staff update. Suzanne Wilcox.
I don't know, Joanne, if you've had a chance to get updated on the zoning code, but I think everyone knows that the first 6 ordinances were adopted. We will be looking to move forward the next 6 ordinances, and this is the conversation again that I need to have with law. But the expectation was that we would be moving them on the next agenda. So I would expect that these would go on the May 24th agenda, but I do need to discuss it with Joanne and Angela to make sure that that is the desire of the city, that we are moving forward that way. But my expectation, and I think Kelly's expectation before she left, was that these would just proceed, you know, agenda after agenda. So we just need to make sure that we get them on that those 6 ordinances are placed on the next agenda with the approval of the law department.
Yes, I'm in agreement with that also, Suzanne, so I can talk with you and Angela offline.
Thank you, Joanne.
Sure, you're welcome.
What about staffing update, Ms. Wilcox?
I don't have much of an update since the last meeting. I think I reported last time that that Jeffrey had resigned. His last day was April 30th. He is actually working part-time on specific projects. One, working with the zoning and planning division on some organizational and systemic items. And then he's working with our neighborhood planning initiative. So he works a relatively small amount or few amount of hours per week. The position should be posted tomorrow, and we will be assisting the HR department with some recruiting efforts. So hopefully we will get that filled more timely than we did with the previous lead planner. We are also, I think I said this last meeting too, but I just I just got approval to turn in the requisition today for an additional planner 1 to assist specifically with marijuana and ancillary zoning issues. And so I'm hoping that that will be posted by the end of the week. And then in terms of the contract with, I don't know if any of you followed the city council meeting last night, but the contract with Row Incorporated for comprehensive zoning services was postponed again. So I made a strong case because I think everybody knows the volume of work that exists in zoning right now and that Bill is dealing with. And so I made a strong case to not have that postponed. Unfortunately, it was. So we are looking at another option to execute a contract change order more quickly before those 2 weeks so that we can get Corey back in here and Row back in here helping more quickly because we have an urgent need for additional staffing. And then we are pursuing an intern as well. We did, as I shared last time, we did have an intern through U of M Flint that unfortunately did not work out. We've been asked to provide some additional information to the professor at U of M Flint, and we are hoping to get an intern once they go through that process too. So I think that's all I have for staffing.
Okay.
Commissioner Wesley, just the only other thing, Bill Vandercook, to add to that, Johnson Mateen's bio was sent out in the packet today. And so
Right.
everyone should have received his updated information. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we got that in the packet. Next item on our agenda. Any resolutions? None? And we're going down to old business. Planning Commission members orientation binder. You know, I think this is in a discussion that we had earlier this week, and I might turn it over to the Vice Chair, Elizabeth Jordan, about setting up a framework of how we want to attack this orientation binder.
Thank you. So as I think we've all got now, our handy dandy binder, complete with bylaws and staff roles, and it's all here, and it's a lot. And so one of the suggestions that some of us had in trying to not overwhelm particularly our newer commissioners is that you know, there's the saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So that rather than trying to inundate ourselves with covering a whole lot of material all at once, maybe selecting over the next several meetings, perhaps a couple articles or pieces from it in which to focus on that we might familiarize ourselves with and be able to have maybe 10 or 15-minute discussion on as part of our meetings. And so I was wanting to get perhaps some input from you all, whether that's an approach that sounded like it might work for you, or if there's a different suggestion that you had about what might make this learning process better for you.
This is Commissioner Cook Hawkins. For me, I actually spoke to Commissioner Jewell about this and the binder. And like you said, it is a little bit overwhelming. It's a lot of information to take in, and your suggestion will really work well for me. So little at a time works good.
All right.
Okay.
See, Commissioner Sorensen, not to put you on the spot, but is that an approach that works for you as well, or do you have a different idea?
I've already reviewed it and have really enjoyed it. I'm on my second. No.
Oh, wow.
It's a great, actually, I had some city officials here a couple weeks ago for dinner, and I showed that to them, and they were actually quite impressed.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yes, but it is very thorough, and I am very happy to have it. Yeah.
Great.
You mean it has made the bestseller list for you, Commissioner Sorensen?
Yeah, exactly. It's one to be read and reread again.
Okay.
I mean, it's great to have all that information in one spot, really.
Yeah.
It really is a great resource, and it's something
It
that'll
is a
probably
resource.
last you however long you're on the commission, which hopefully is a good long while.
Yeah.
What I might suggest then as a starting point, if it makes sense to folks, is that for our following meeting in 2 weeks' time, maybe we take a look at this one, the Planning and Zoning Essentials. It's one of the ones from the Michigan Association of Planning. Not that you have to read every single page in detail, but it kind of breaks it up into what's the role of the Planning Commission, what's zoning all about, and how do you make some effective decisions. So again, not that you have to read every single word, but that might be kind of a good broad level. And then maybe if folks also want to just take another look at our bylaws, I know that we just approved them relatively recently, so they're probably pretty fresh on folks' minds. But that kind of gives the overview of how is planning approached generally in Michigan, and then what are some of the specific frameworks that we have in place locally.
So our next meeting, we're going to look at the starting point, the planning and zoning ordinance.
Yep, the planning and zoning essential booklet.
Essential booklet, right?
Yep.
That first copy there. And our bylaws. Just a quick overview of those. Okay. Sounds like a plan. And we will donate what, about 10, 15 minutes to that?
We can do that. And I might say, if folks have any questions as you're reading through it of things that you specifically want to discuss, if you want to shoot me an email in advance, just so that if there's any particular burning question you have, and I can make sure that we get to that when we have our discussion.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I love the approach of dividing it up. My question is, will there be like quizzes, like multiple guess, fill in the blank?
Essay, Jewel. Essay. Essay, Jewel.
Where we get our little booklets, where we fill out all 40 pages for one answer.
You know what? The next 2 weeks are my crunch time. So if you want a fancy quiz, you might have to develop that yourself. Let me get past this next month. And then we'll see.
What class did you say? I'm sorry. What class?
Commissioner Jewell.
Did you say?
Jewell.
Oh, wait a minute, Commissioner Jordan. What class did you say?
Oh, I don't have a class. This is my busy season at work. So if you need me to make a quiz, you might have to wait about a month.
Okay.
Commissioner Campbell, you had something for Commissioner Jewell?
Yes. Trust me, she will get to all of this before we're done. So please don't give her any more.
Okay.
It's just me. And I don't know about everybody else, but.
Oh, I just wanted to get my notes ready for any quiz.
I'm sure, and I don't want to see another quiz, but that's a nice spot, Commissioner Jewell. Thank you.
Well, Professor Campbell, I know you can come up with something.
I think I can. I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna sit here and listen to all of you with what your views are.
Oh no! You're not gonna be on the sidelines, Commissioner Campbell.
If I have any, I will shoot them to Commissioner Jordan.
Well, you don't have to do that. You just come, you make your little notes and says, "Okay, class, this is what we need to look at." Got it? Come on now.
We'll pray on that.
Hard. Okay. So that's a plan going forward. What about the status of the I-475 committee appointments of the planning staff? Suzanne, have you heard anything from the guy who's supposed to be over this now?
Calfani. Calfani Stephen. He said he will have an update for me tomorrow. He asked who I preferred to have staff on that planning. I'm sorry, on the I-475 committee, and I haven't had a chance really to talk to Bill and John about it, but I have some thoughts on that. So we're going to talk tomorrow, and then Calfani said he will have an update for me tomorrow.
Very good. Now, the next is new business, the American Rescue Plan. I think the city just got a bunch of money, a large sum of money coming in. And the mayor is looking at what some of the things proposed for that. And so as the planning commission, we thought that, some of the commissioners might have some ideas as to what recommendations we can make to the mayor or to the administration as to the use of those funds coming into the city. Is that about right?
Yeah. So Chairman Wesley, if I might just suggest, I know that there's probably some restrictions about how the funds can be used and not used. And I'm aware that there's been some efforts, I think, from the administration to get some public input.
Right.
And certainly community involvement and community input is one of the pillars of the master plan and very much in alignment with those principles. I guess the additional frame that I would offer is that we do have the master plan that spelled out in a rather comprehensive fashion what some of the needs and priorities were that had been articulated by residents in the city of Flint, and that there had been some kind of relative prioritization to a lot of those things when you looked at the implementation matrix that was part of the master plan. So I would just suggest, if it's not already part of the framing, that revisiting those implementation matrices from the master plan could be a really useful way to look at what did we already say we wanted to spend money on as a city if we should ever get a windfall. That's one of the values of the master plan, is that you don't have to start from zero when trying to figure out how to allocate resources when you're fortunate enough to get them. So I would just suggest that if it's not already part of that conversation, that using the master plan, and in particular those implementation matrices, could be a very useful starting point for saying what have we already identified.
Okay.
I think that's a great suggestion, Commissioner Jordan, and there have been some discussions, and I know Shelby Freyer, the new CFO, has been doing a lot of research. They just received additional guidelines today, and I think that there are more restrictions than potentially initially thought, and a formula that has to be utilized in determining how to spend those monies to demonstrate the loss of revenue related to COVID. So it's pretty complex from what I understand from Shelby today. So I think that is a great starting point. And I'm also wondering, and I don't want to commit her to anything, but I'm also wondering if it would be helpful if maybe she or her staff could attend at least a portion of a planning commission and a meeting and provide just an overview on some of the things or that she's learning as the regulations continue to be rolled out. Is that something that you would be interested in hearing from her on?
Suzanne, this is Commissioner Jewell. I think that's a great way to begin dialogue and input. I would recommend that instead of her and or staff attending a planning commission meeting, it might be appropriate for yourself and for Bob as the chair and Elizabeth as the vice chair to meet with them regarding some thoughts, some ideas, restrictions, possibilities, role of the master plan, and so forth, to kind of take a look at some preliminary framework, if that's a good term to use.
Yep, and I think Elizabeth's idea is excellent, to start with the matrix of the implementation strategies and provide that to Shelby. And I'd be happy to talk to Shelby to try and set up something like that if the rest of the commission is interested.
Well, this is Commissioner Jewell again. Well, my approach was to start with Bob and Elizabeth as chair and vice chair and yourself to sit down. Is it Shelby? Did I get that correct?
Shelby Freyer, yes.
Shelby, to meet to meet collectively to kind of take a look at my favorite term, roles and responsibilities, framework of what can or can't be done, to kind of look at parameters, and then to kind of incorporate the issues that Commissioner Jordan came up with. Versus, yes, you can still come and then do a presentation at a commission meeting, but I'm looking at more detailed, more operational kind of issues.
Yep, I appreciate that. I was just meaning if it's the decision of the body to do
Understand.
that.
I don't know about Elizabeth, but I do know about Elizabeth, and I know how she's swamped with a whole bunch of things to do. But I think our master plan is fairly clear, and we got our wish list out front on that. You know, not to tie anybody up for another meeting. I'm about done met out.
Okay.
I mean, I'll say, this is important. If it adds value to the city's process, I mean, I know that she's new to the city role. If it's helpful and helps ensure alignment with implementation of the master plan, for me or me and Bob, to sit down with her and help identify ways in which the master plan might be a useful tool, I'm happy to do that. If it's more so that she can inform us about what the parameters and restrictions are. I mean, if there's a public meeting where that's already being shared, I'm happy to learn from that and not make staff do another meeting that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Right.
But if it's value added, then I would be willing to do that.
Okay. Suzanne, you can probably touch base with her and see, what those restrictions are. And shoot me an email or something, and then we can look at it and see how it would fit in with our master plan.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Ryan.
Yes,
I have
Mr.
some
Ryan.
friends who are talking to the senator, and there is a lot of guidelines with that money, and he is explaining it to them. So you are absolutely right, Suzanne. We need to find out what are the guidelines.
Yes, I agree.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Ryan, what did you, I didn't understand the first part. There, you said something about that.
Who are talking to Senator Kildee.
Okay.
He was explaining to them the specific parameters and what could be done with it and not. So I know there's going to be some things. It's not just can go into a general fund. There's some things set up with that. So we need to know what they are.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Is there anything else?
And
that brings us to the end of our meeting. And here again, thank everybody for joining in, and I think we got some things accomplished this evening, like we always do. And it's always nice to zoom in on folks. So at this point, the chair, I understand we're going to be, well, I'm not going to talk about getting back to meetings in person again. So not yet anyway. So the chair would entertain a motion for adjournment. If there's nothing else for the good of the meeting.
I'll entertain a motion for an adjournment.
It's been moved.
Support.
Supported. Hey, see everybody in 2. You guys take care.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.